Giving back to the community is so important when you're a small business owner, especially here in Santa Clarita. Hi everyone, welcome to SchlickArtTV. We have something special for you today. Today we are going to be talking about all things community, volunteerism, getting involved in your community, and today we have a powerhouse at that. The beautiful Thompson, a real estate agent with Equity Union Real Estate. And if you don't know in this valley, you should probably find out.
I'm honored to be able to be sitting with you and that you've made the space to talk about giving back.
Tell me a little bit about your story of why you like to get so involved in this community.
Getting involved in the community for me was it was really a no-brainer. I've always been involved in some capacity in the community with either my children, through work, but mostly, you know, when you're raising kids, it's just through PTA, the sports, all of that. And so I was involved, but kind of in the background, right? And then once your kids, you know, get older and they're in high school and then college, you know, you find yourself with a little bit more time on your hands. And so, you know, we have been given so much from living in this community, honestly. It's such a great place to raise your children, and I really just felt compelled to give back to the community that has given us so much, honestly.
We are extremely lucky here in Santa Clarita. We actually did an interview with Ken Striplin the other day for the SCV EDC, and he even, you know, being the city manager of California, we were asking him why he got involved. And he said, Santa Clarita is an oasis. We're just very lucky to work, live, and play here, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm sure you feel like me about, you know, we want to keep it that way.
Absolutely. That's actually what was first and foremost in my mind. My youngest daughter was fortunate enough to attend the Primetime Preschool program which is run by the city of Santa Clarita. And it was at that early period of our lives, or her life, that is when I first started getting involved, because at that time the preschool was really a co-op and the parents were required to volunteer. So that kind of gave me my first real foray into just partnering with community organizations, the importance of getting involved, the importance of being present as not just a parent, but as a stakeholder in the community.
Absolutely. And I want to go a little further into that. You know, you said everybody, you can get involved in many big or small ways. I mean, you know, some people in the community will go out and help clean up the wash. Some
Absolutely.
people will, you know, volunteer at the senior center or the Boys and Girls Club. And then some people will also take it as far as to sit on boards, to plan events, which we'll talk a little bit about your event coming up soon for the Boys and Girls Club. But, you know, there is different capacities, and there's no wrong answer for anybody. There's just, you know, to do your best, whatever that looks like, no matter the sliding scale. But what does volunteerism mean to you in this valley?
You know, being involved in volunteerism to me is about my full life's purpose. I think living with purpose and intention is just super important, at least, you know, to me. And it's something that I really hold dear to my heart. If you have a reason outside of yourself, you know, outside of your family, to give back, make an impact, and create a legacy, so to speak. And it's not even about your family or having your name on a plaque or in the ground somewhere, although those are nice little tangible, you know, ways to show that you're involved. It's just about how you feel about yourself, how you sleep at night, how you know, kind of rationalize everything that's going on in our world. We have so little control over so many aspects of our lives. And again, the world, the country, the environment. But one thing that you can do is be a light for someone else.
Psychologists will say it could be as simple as doing the dishes. It could be as simple as making your bed. It could be as simple as just having a friend over for a conversation like this. Or it could be, you know what, something I can control is going and reading to some seniors at the senior center and making yourself feel better. But another thing that you mentioned that was, you know, so prevalent, and I think something that you and Jeff, your husband, Jeff Thompson, shout out there, Jeff. You know, I think this is, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that I'm right. It's part of the reason why you do this is for your girls. Like,
absolutely. That's the other big point. Of course, thank you for reminding me. Just setting an example. You know, so many people complain and have something negative to say about our future generations. Well, you know what? We are their first example, right? We have to set the example and set the bar for what is expected of our children and our future generations. And one of the best things that we can do to show them how to affect change, of course, is to get involved ourselves. You know, I can't complain about things going on in my city and things not, you know, working correctly or in an organization that I'm involved in if I'm not willing to put myself out there and be a part of the solution. We're kind of at the pulse and at the forefront of new things that are happening and coming to the city, which is a huge plus for me as a realtor. It's a great way for me to help provide information and be a resource for my clients. So not only am I showing them homes in the community and new construction and where's this going, but I also know what new restaurants are coming in, what new developments, what's going on with the hospital, you know, what's going on with new road construction or new parks. And I'm also on the Parks Commission, so that doesn't hurt.
Yeah,
it's great to be informed, and it does help my business, which is also a nice byproduct of being involved.
What does it mean to sit on a board? What does that do for you? But also, I feel like it's the level of service where I give with the right and receive with the left. I'm not necessarily doing it, you know, out of self-service. I'm doing it because I believe fully in that organization and I want to help shape it.
Yes.
You know, tell me your feelings on what it means to sit on a board.
Sitting on a board of an organization like a nonprofit is about helping to further their mission. It means that you are an integral part of the oversight of the organization. You are not a paid employee, you are a volunteer, but that means, you know, obviously you get to help shape policies, you know, help with overseeing the budget, making sure that the organization is fiscally sound, and making sure that the priorities of the organization are being met, or are we being strategic? Are we focusing on our bottom line, or making sure new initiatives are rolled out, right? So you can function in those ways as a volunteer, not just by, you know, volunteering by being at an event and helping to plan an event and making sure that we're selling tickets, but you can also, you know, give back by being involved in on a board level where you have voting power and can, again, help with your influence.
With that said, beyond being a board member, this year you are also the first woman of color in Santa Clarita to be the chair of the Santa Clarita Valley Chamber.
Yes, I am the first female woman of color to be the board chair, and it's a huge honor, and it's a big role, and it's a big commitment.
What was your first official board position?
So my first board position was the Chamber of Commerce. I got involved in the chamber. Primarily, I was approached about a couple of focus groups that I was involved with as they were evaluating getting started with creating the Black Business Council. I was a very, very vocal member of that focus group, and I think that it was a natural fit for me to be the inaugural chair of that council. And then from there, I was on the board, and I really just started jumping in and getting involved. Right after that came Influence Her, which I co-chair with Lindsay and Jennifer Abbott-Aston, which has been wonderful. And then from there, things kind of took a life of its own. I mean, that was more business focused. So I also wanted to do things that gave back in other ways that kind of fed my soul.
You basically starting the Black Business Council, the Santa Clarita Chamber had not had a committee like that before. And now we are seeing so many amazing businesses become part of the chamber community. There were always Black businesses here in Santa Clarita, sure, but they weren't getting the same airtime, for lack of a better term, as a lot of other businesses. Yeah. So can you talk to me about the impact of that committee to now?
I am proud to say that we have someone new taking on that role as the chair, and that is always what you want to see when you are in a leadership role, in a leadership capacity. The goal is to replace yourself with new, fresh perspective and fresh leaders coming on the scene and making an impact on others. Having the council has given an opportunity for people and business owners and entrepreneurs to just be a little bit more, not visible, but have an area, a safe space to be able to collaborate and sometimes, just honestly talk about what are our pain points, what are some things that you're having trouble with and going through. And it's really been a matter of more helping to amplify their experiences and find out where we can help be a resource for some of those businesses.
Zonta.
Yes.
Sir Optimist. Mm-hmm. Lean In.
Yes.
Influence Her. Uh-huh. We Will.
Yes.
What do they all have in common?
They are all organizations for or about women and uplifting women.
Why do you think that you're very drawn to that?
Well, first, I'm a woman.
It helps. It helps. Really does help.
Honestly, that's another one that circles back to my maybe setting an example subconsciously for my own girls. I want to help improve the lives of women, girls, young women, anywhere and everywhere. There's a number of ways to approach that process. First, I would do some self-reflection and make sure you have good self-awareness. What is it that you like? What do you like to do? That will kind of help steer you or guide you into what you want to get involved in, right?
First of all, I love what you said about find out what you like too. Right. Because if you go to an organization and say, I want to volunteer, and they say, how do you want to volunteer? And you're like, I don't know. Then the next minute, you're helping the accountant and right. You are, not a math brain in any way, shape, or form. I would love that, by the way. but most people not so much, yeah. You got to let people know what you like and how you can help and do a little self-audit, right?
Right, self-audit.
Yeah.
And then also asking them what it is they're looking for, what are their needs. So, go visit some of the websites of different organizations. Find out if they have a social media presence. Go on their Facebook page. That's probably the fastest way to get yourself acclimated. Find out if they have non-member events that you can attend, a social, so you can meet some of the other members, ask them questions. I would look at it almost like a job, getting a job. You go on a job interview. Well, you can interview an organization. You can meet someone. If, it's something that you're going to be spending a lot of time doing, or even a fraction of your time, a couple of hours a month, maybe check to see if they have a membership coordinator and see if you can meet them for coffee. They will tell you everything that you want to know about an organization and all of the ways to get involved.
You just have to do your best. Yeah. And your best for you might be an hour a month. It might be 2 hours a month. It might be 30 minutes a month of going and helping out. You're just the person who drops the food off from one place to another to help those volunteers. Right. Guess what? You helped, you supported, you were part of this community. You did your part. You can feel good about the little bit that you can do.
Right. There's nothing too small.
Yes.
And you never want to look at what other people are doing and compare yourself against that. But you know what? People make time to do what they want to do.
100%.
You know what I mean?
They make time to do what they value.
Exactly, what they value. And people say to me all the time, or there are some people who say to me, I don't know how you do it all, or how do you do all that? You know, you make time for what it is that's important to you. And so, you know, if I find value in something, I'm going to make the time for it. This topic coming up today that we're talking about this, someone actually reached out to me today before I came and sent me a text. It's not someone that I know super well, someone who connected with me through the chamber, and said, I am looking to get more involved in the community in Santa Clarita Valley. You know a lot of people, you're involved in a lot of organizations. Would you, you know, sit down and have a conversation with me about how I can navigate this community and how do I get involved? Again, you don't want to do it because you're trying to build business. If you want to get your name out about your business and, you know, it's like a quid pro quo a little bit.
That might sound a little harsh.
It sounds harsh, but it is the reality. And the businesses that get it are the ones, even the small businesses, that is literally the lifeblood of this community is it's nonprofit organizations.
It might be as simple as calling up a friend who you know isn't doing so well and just saying, what do you need today?
Yeah. Or saying, hey, can we take you to dinner? Can we drop off dinner? You know, or we made extra of this, you know, and I don't want it to go to waste. If you feel like you don't want to, you know, kind of step on someone's pride or make them feel like, you know, a charity case, so to speak, it's always a wonderful feeling to just be able to help someone else.
Absolutely. Well, Di, thank you so much for being here and talking about all things community, volunteerism, and giving back. We are super excited to have you on SchlickArtTV for our next episode. So everybody watch out for that. You're going to see quite a few clips coming out of this and a great SchlickArtTV. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I had a great time. Yeah, we should have wine here, you know?
Exactly. 3 more weeks, Dad.
3 more weeks.
3 more weeks.